What's
Beans.
up? Okay. Is there anything interesting that you found, especially uh, doing what you've been doing for the past, 8 years? Like anything interesting that a trend that you've noticed in marriage since pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, and of course now this day and age.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Nobody's really asked me about the pandemic before, but I do
Mm,
think that I think people are kind of tolerating less. I think they're asking for help
Mm.
sooner. I
gotcha.
think before the pandemic, you had this statistic kind of running around that people would wait 6 years in a miserable marriage
That's crazy.
before they would ask for help. And I think after the pandemic, I would venture to guess that that's not true anymore. I think people are less willing
Hmm.
to be miserable together.
I got you. So would you say it's like less lower tolerance, like you would say?
Yeah, I think people are realizing that life is short
Hmm.
and let's make the most of it. And
Ah.
so if we're not in a good situation, let's either ask for help or get to something different.
Mm.
I'd like to pass it over to Cece. Cece was one of our guests on a specific Valentine's Day episode where we talked
Mhm.
about relationships, and I do
She's a
know
she's a Gen Z, so
she's a
she
Gen Z, so
yeah.
she's
Yeah.
has a lot of ups and downs in this
Uh-huh.
landscape.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
the
We've
floor
been
is yours,
yeah.
Cece.
Yeah. So I listened to a few of your episodes, and I have to say, I love your advice. I love your approach to everything. Um, I have parents who have been married for about 35 years, and my oldest brother has been married for six, and I have a middle
Sensational.
brother who just got engaged. They'll be married next June.
Goodness.
So,
She's the
Love
last
that.
one.
yeah, I'm the last one.
Baby.
Um, but I think you give incredible advice, and I think for me, as with being Gen Z, I'm more so dating now. I do want to be married. So for me, I'm navigating the dating landscape,
Hmm.
not so much the
Mm.
marriage landscape.
Yes.
But I love how, Mr. Boyardee mentioned, the pandemic, because that's something that came up in a conversation recently with my friend who just got engaged. And I've noticed, there's a difference in social patterns in everybody post pandemic.
Hmm.
So my question for you is, you mentioned, you shared that people are tolerating less when they realize, there's a marriage that may not have the lifespan that it does. But when it comes to a marriage who's, like, for example, my parents who've been married for 35 years, or somebody who is dating, how have you noticed the differences between pre and post pandemic marriages that have continued and the dating landscape, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people are just getting more emotionally and socially aware of kind of
Mm.
what's out there. I think there's podcasts, I think there's books. I think people are just like your generation is getting less tolerant of this kind of idea that we're just going to get into a marriage of mutual toleration. I think you guys don't want that and are not willing to tolerate that. And so you're getting way more aware of like what am I looking for, what are our shared goals, like, can we negotiate life together, meaning something I feel like is really important. It's always been important, but I think now people are understanding a little bit more that there is no like roles that we have to navigate marriage together, right?
I know. I didn't want to leave the hotel. I was scared to. It was
Meanwhile, you
hot.
think it smelled like straight horse